everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are back for another Hallmarkies ranking. And it's so much fun. We are talking about one of my favorite things. We're talking about musicals and particularly modern musicals from 1970 onward. We already talked about the classic musicals since that was really fun. And we definitely want to hear your feedback and what your favorites are. So make sure to put that in the comments and let us know on Patreon what your favorites are, and we're gonna, and what other rankings you want us to do. We'd love to hear that. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Terry's here.
Hi.
So how was this for you, making your top 12 modern musicals?
This was easy to a point, but also a little bit more difficult because there's less great ones, I think, for
Yeah.
in a more modern age. And I had to make a few cuts because I wanted to pick ones that I enjoyed, and
Well,
some of them just didn't live up to it.
it's hard also to decide kind of what counts as a musical and
Right,
what's just a movie with music in it.
right.
That's tricky, and I battled back and forth.
I did
Uh,
too.
Particularly, I didn't know what to do with Pitch Perfect because that's one of my favorite comedies
Right,
of like all
right.
time. Is it a musical? It definitely has music in it, but it's not like part of the plot,
Yeah,
like if they were going to make
I
a Pitch
had
Perfect
that.
musical, they would
Yeah.
have to completely change it around and move things around. And I don't know. To me, that one didn't. I had it on the short list, but I don't think
Yeah.
it counts as a musical. But I do enjoy it. I mean, I love it.
I I had that same problem with A Mighty Wind. That's
Mm-hmm.
more like of
Yep.
a it's a mockumentary. It's more of a concert movie kind
Mm-hmm.
of, you know,
Yeah.
because it's a so I was like, oh, I really wanted to add it because I guess you could include it because there's enough music,
Yeah.
but it's not a traditional musical.
Yeah.
That
Let's dive in. Let's talk about our favorites. My number 12. It was a tough one again to decide, but I actually went with the most recent retelling of West Side Story. I think
oh,
this is actually an improvement upon the
hmm.
original. I know some people didn't like Ansel and he has his problems. I understand that.
I
But
don't even
I
know what his
actually
problems are, but
yeah, I actually thought they had really great chemistry, and Rachel has such a beautiful voice, and I thought it was a significant upgrade from Natalie Wood and Richard Beymer in the chemistry and other performance department, a lot
yeah,
better. And of
yeah,
course, Irene DeVos gives Oscar-winning
the
performance.
standout, yeah,
Yeah, she's amazing
the
as
standout.
Anita. I love Mike Feist, eh, and I mean, the whole cast. I just love the whole
Yeah.
cast. Corey Stoll, Rita Moreno. The choreography is absolutely beautiful. The
I will, yeah,
cinematography, the way it's shot, the long takes are just
true. It is a
beautiful.
beautiful looking film.
And it's got such beautiful songs.
Yeah.
I really loved it. I was super impressed with it. It was one of my favorite films of that year. So yeah, I think it's an actual improvement over the original. Maybe like the choreography is not quite as special as in that original because that was so unique,
Right.
but I think it's a beautifully made film, and I haven't been that high on a lot of recent Spielberg.
Sure, yeah.
This to me is one of his best that he's ever made, in my
First
opinion.
musical too, and he
Yeah,
knocked
first
it out of
musical.
the park.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
I appreciate West Side Story, but I don't like the musical.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I think I like the original film better than the remake, but both of them stand on their own, and I think that they're both good in a musical. In their
Mm-hmm.
I got tongue
I just
twister
think the
here.
leads in this were so much better than in that
Yeah,
original
oh well,
film.
yeah, and like let's be real, like the nobody spray tanned, nobody has a fake accent.
Yeah.
That helps all better.
Right.
They have
Right.
authentic. There's an authenticness to it more now.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I debated about including because it's not, I haven't ever rewatched it. So it's like,
right,
is it one of my
yeah, no,
favorites? Like,
sure.
whereas like the Cinderella,
I think
the
it's a
Brandy
good pick.
Cinderella I've
Yeah.
seen so many times. So I don't know. I mean, Newsies I've seen so many times, but I just think the
True.
quality of the filmmaking is
It is.
outstanding. And
It
so,
really is. And you should watch it for Ariana DeBose because she is the
oh yeah,
standout.
wonderful.
And I don't know. I don't think it's the first time in Oscar history, but both actresses from the original and the
Hmm.
remake win supporting actor for playing the
Yeah,
same character,
which is
which is
interesting.
a nice little factoid.
Yeah.
But it is a
I mean,
really good looking
I'm
film.
trying to think. The only other time I can think of that anybody's won an Oscar for playing the same role, it would be the Joker,
Yeah, I think that's
Joaquin
it.
Phoenix
Yeah,
and Heath Ledger. But I'm sure there's others and people will say, but that's the
yeah.
only one I could think of. But what's your number 12?
This one is a pure nostalgia for me, but it's Annie from
Uh-huh.
1982
Okay,
with
82.
yeah,
There's a couple different ones.
yeah, I know that's why I said this one's from 1982 with Albert Finney and Carol
Hmm.
Burnett.
Yes.
She's awesome in this movie.
She's so
This
good.
this is
Yeah.
a movie my sister and I watched tons growing up. It seemed to always be on TV,
Hmm.
and I,
I'm just glad you didn't have that Jamie Foxx one because that was
no,
an
no, is that a
absolute.
musical?
It
I've
was
never seen
so
that one.
bad. It
Oh
was
my gosh,
terrible.
I didn't know that. I've never seen it. I thought that was a straight in for me.
No, it's a musical, but it's like they
Like,
tried to hip hop. They tried to like
oh yeah.
yeah, they tried to Hamilton it and it was terrible. I
Oh
hate
boy.
it.
But this is I don't know. It's got like it's a hard
Yeah.
knock life,
Hmm.
tomorrow, Easy Street.
So many
It's
good songs.
it's a vicious like I rewatched this like probably a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years now. And I hadn't seen it in forever. And it's kind of cheesy when you watch it
Yeah.
now. But man, Carol Burnett, they try to kill Annie at the end when
Yeah.
she's climbing that stuff. It's crazy.
You're
It's horrifying.
never fully dressed without a smile. Yeah,
So
it's
I
so
mean,
good.
we had like if I'm remembering correctly, in the 80s, we had an Annie cartoon too that I think that
Oh, really?
loved to watch. Yeah, I think there was a cartoon show.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I'm imagining that. I'm pretty sure there was,
Maybe
and we
when
had that. So
I love it, the maybe song.
yeah,
Maybe when I'm blue, maybe
it's
they're calling me baby.
it's great.
Oh,
I
so
even
good.
liked the live version that they did for NBC at
Yeah,
Christmas.
I enjoyed that too.
And
Hmm.
I don't even care that Harry Connick Jr.'s like bald cap was showing or whatever, and it was coming off. The lights, the
Yeah,
heat, whatever. I
so
enjoyed
good.
that too. I think it's a
I
fun musical.
I did too. I do too. A lot of times things that are made for children are kind of treated somewhat dismissively.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know,
I
but there's some really good songs and some really good
yeah.
storytelling going on in Annie.
I
Yeah.
do wonder if Annie, even though they like, I know people still think of the musical, but Annie as popular as it was, like
Hmm.
when I was growing up, like do kids today know it?
Well, I think a lot of people will say, and I've heard this said before, that the Matilda, the musical, is sort of the new nanny.
Oh
No,
yeah,
is the new Annie.
yeah,
Sorry, the new Annie. And
sure.
I
I
can
get
see
that.
that. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see it. And the Netflix version of Matilda was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I liked Emma Thompson as the Trunchbull. That was
I've yet
funny.
to see that one.
Oh yeah,
I
it's
got that
pretty
on my
good.
list to watch, but
Pretty good.
yeah.
Like they I don't know why they cut out the brother and they cut out both of the parents' songs, which are like two of the most fun songs, and they kept in the escapologist plot because the show is way too long. It's a problem.
Right.
But they kept in the escapologist plot, which does nothing for the story. Like, why did you cut out two like genuinely fun songs and you kept in the escapologist plot?
Oh
But
well,
it's still a pretty
questionable.
fun little movie.
Yeah. So Annie has survived since the 30s, and she'll keep on going
The
as a radio show, a comic
yeah.
strip, a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. All
I
right. Well,
think
my
check that out, guys, just for like
and Carol Burnett is the
yeah,
best.
top tier Carol Burnett.
Little girls,
Oh,
all
top tier. Like
enduring.
watch it for her. Watch it for her.
Yes. Well, my number 11 is, some would say, is this technically a movie? I don't know, but I'm including it. It's Hamilton at number
Oh yeah.
11. This is the pro shot of Hamilton that, of course, went to Disney Plus. and it was like a gift during the pandemic when there was like nothing to watch. And,
Oh,
I've always been a huge Hamilton fan. I had never seen it though, really wanted to see it. And so it was very exciting. It's just, I feel like it's gotten a little bit like, oh, it's so overplayed over, in the kind of the Broadway
true.
world, and,
Yeah.
Lin-Manuel Miranda has been kind of overexposed with just so much content that he made in the last 3 years. But
Right.
it was still exciting and fresh with some really great songs. And I think that they did a good job of making the pro shot and making
Yeah.
it uh the way it was shot and the way it was done. And it's
Yeah. Were they
just,
sitting on that for like years? Because they
yeah,
shot that
well,
with the
so it
original
was
cast.
going to be
Yeah.
released in theaters in
Right.
2021, I think was the
Yeah.
plan. But then when the pandemic happened and they were, you know,
But even
itching
before they
for,
filmed that before with all of the original cast before they departed. So that
right.
that that was sitting on a shelf for like years before it was coming out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it had the original cast with Lin-Manuel and
Yeah.
Daveed Diggs, who's amazing, Leslie Odom Jr., Philippa Sue, just incredible. Jonathan Groff steals the show as King George, which is, if you've watched the recent Bridgerton, it's kind of funny to say that's the same George.
Right. Yes.
Uh, so I felt like I almost had to include it, both
Right.
because I love the Broadway musical, but also because it really was a kind of a gift during those early months of the
Right.
pandemic when we were so isolated, and I was cut off from my theater,
Right. Yeah.
I
Totally.
needed it. I needed my live theater, and so I got Hamilton to watch.
I will say I'm probably one of 5 people in the world who haven't seen
I
Hamilton.
don't know how you didn't watch it during the pandemic. Like, I
I
was so
didn't. I had
desperate
no.
for,
I still don't want to watch it. Like I
I,
keep saying, I'll get to it, but I know I never will. It
why?
just
You don't
doesn't.
want
I don't know.
to
My goddaughter was like, "You disgust me," because I wouldn't watch because she loves Hamilton, and I was like, "I'll get to it eventually." I
Oh,
don't know.
yeah.
I
Well, now
don't
it's
know
been like
how.
so overhyped that I'm worried that you'll be like, what's
Maybe
the
see
big
that's another
deal?
thing. That's another thing that why I don't watch it because it's
Yeah.
been so overhyped. I was like, no, I need it to die down, which I don't
Yeah,
think it ever will.
I can
You
see
know,
that. I I
before
I
I
can. It just like I was so desperate for musical
right.
theater that it was like, oh,
It
yay.
is amazing though that even it's on Disney Plus that I
Broadway
still
was closed,
I know.
and I
But I
needed
think
it.
pro shots count. If
Hmm.
it's filmed, it counts.
Yeah.
So totally.
So, ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind the scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies. That's my 11. What's your 11?
My number 11 is a movie that I appreciated more as an adult because as a child I thought it was an acid trip, and that is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
Well,
Factory.
I have that on my list too.
And it's I think I'm not okay. My best friend Jen loved this movie, and she had the VHS, and we watched it all the time. And I always thought, why does she love this movie? It is freaky, but when I watched it one day as an adult, like it was after my sister had her first baby and he's sleeping, and we're watching Pinocchio and Willy Wonka because we're just like zoned and we got to stay awake because that if that baby cries, we got to run to it right away. Newborn and all that stuff, first baby,
Yeah.
and I just reappreciated it better. So I found a new love for Willy Wonka, and Gene Wilder's great. He was always great.
I absolutely,
I
yeah,
also,
I
it's funny
love
because
it.
I love the book as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think of the both the Burton one and
First
the
of
new
all,
one?
that Burton, like, okay, I love you, Tim Burton, but some things need to be set fire to, and that remake needs to be set fire to. It doesn't exist in my world.
I
It doesn't
agree. I
exist.
know some people enjoy it because it is more true to the book, but I just
Right, it
hated
is.
that portrayal, Johnny Depp's portrayal
I
of
think he I
of
think he was
Willy
trying to
Wonka.
do, yeah,
It was like too Michael Jackson-y.
exactly. I
I
think that's what
really
he
didn't
was
like
getting
it.
his, yeah, his,
Mm-mm.
but no, that movie doesn't exist for me.
What do you think
And
of the trailer for the new one? Are you
let me tell you,
excited?
for Wonka, that movie doesn't exist for me either. I will see it and then promptly forget about it because I don't think Timothy Chalamet, like, I see his line delivery and I was like, he is not this kind of actor.
Mm.
Now, I know some girls are clutching their hearts because there's plenty
I
of people
thought
who
it
are
was
thirsty
cute.
for him. I do
I
not
was
understand. I do not understand Timothy Chalamet, but I will give him props that he is a good actor. I don't
uh-huh.
understand the love people have for him, but he's okay. But
Well,
he is not a whimsical type to me. So
mm.
I have my reservations. But I will probably forget it the minute I see it.
Yeah, I can understand that. I thought it looked enchanting.
Right.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Maybe
But
it wasn't a great trailer, but I was like, oh. And then
but
that whole, I think the Oompa Loompa thing at the end saved it for me. When he
oh,
goes,
so a lot
nope,
of
nope,
people
we
have
got,
ruined
yeah.
it. A lot of
Uh,
people were like,
oh,
"What?"
yeah, I know.
I
Like,
thought
oh,
it.
I gotta sing the song. I thought it was like, ha. And then people were like, how dare Hugh Grant play that role? And I was like, what? You can't win. You
Well,
can't win.
my number 10 is and maybe some people call this a guilty pleasure. I don't. It's Hairspray. I absolutely love I love the musical Hairspray. I enjoy the original John Waters film. It's a lot of
I
fun.
love that movie.
But
Yeah.
then this adaptation as a Broadway musical, and I've seen it on
Right.
stage many times, is just absolutely toe tapping, so
Right.
enjoyable, and it's got a big heart to it. Tracy's such a wonderful character, such a great lead
Absolutely.
character, and so then bringing it to the screen, I think totally works. I love it. I think Queen Latifah is great.
Oh,
I love
totally.
her. I Know Where I've
I
Been. I think that's a great number. I love Michelle Pfeiffer as
right.
Miss
Oh, she's great in it. Yeah.
yeah, Miss Baltimore. I think Krabs, and
Um,
as I mean, Zac Efron does the job that's needed. So, and you've got John Travolta in this bizarre makeup thing,
I
but
do question everything John Travolta
it's,
though.
it's
That
like
was my one
what?
thing. I was like, I don't know. Like, he's he's almost. How do I put this? Like,
But
you
him
probably could.
and Christopher
He's almost
Walken
unreal in
doing,
that movie with the way they got him made up.
but him and Christopher Walken doing
Oh my
the
gosh,
Timeless
that
to
is so
Me.
funny. That is so, I will admit, that is really funny.
Yeah,
That is really funny. Because
it's
Christopher Walken
such
can pull that off,
yeah.
but
And it's just got such good songs. I
right.
defy anybody to at the very least not say that those are catchy tunes. They're
I even like the live version that came out
I do
a
too.
couple of years ago, and it's because
Yeah.
the songs are
Yeah.
so fun. They're
Yeah.
catchy.
Good morning, Baltimore.
Yeah, it starts
Yeah,
off with a bang.
it's so good. I can hear the bells. Yeah, I just love it. I think it's really fun.
And a
Uh
positive representation
mhm.
of
Yeah.
bigger,
And
how to say,
yeah, body
larger, bigger type of
positivity.
women. Yeah, body
And
positivity.
in
Um,
one of the programs that I in one of the times I saw at the National Touring Company, they had a
mhm.
thing from John Waters in saying that he was so excited when he saw the musical that now all the fat girls were going to get the leads in the high school plays.
Well, I think it's great. I think it's like a great,
So,
because
yeah.
unfortunately they portray And I'm a big girl too. Like we're
Mhm.
all so pathetic, eating chocolate,
Right.
crying because we get picked on and we don't have a
Yeah.
man or a
Yeah,
partner.
to not only be like a
know?
confident woman as
Yeah.
Tracy is, but also to dance.
To
When do you ever
dance,
see
yeah,
that?
you
Never.
don't. Yeah.
And to get the guy at the end.
Absolutely.
It's
So it's a
really good.
positive. But it's
Yes.
it's a positive story, even for
Mhm.
her friends and
Mhm.
you know, who's a little
Yeah.
mousy, you
Yeah.
know.
So I love it.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's my
great.
number 10. What is your number 10?
Little Shop of Horrors.
Ah, yeah,
It starts off with a bang with the Greek goddesses singing Little Shop. I could
yeah.
go on. But when this movie is just ridiculous. I
Yeah.
mean, he buys a plant from a Chinese shop during a solar eclipse, and he feeds it blood, and it's like "Feed me, Seymour." It's got some great songs, like "Suddenly Seymour," "Supper
Yeah.
Time," and the whole dentist plot with Steve Martin.
Mhm.
And
Somewhere
it's
that's green. I
somewhat,
love that.
yeah. So
Mhm.
I wish they would have
Good
kept the
choice.
original ending because it was a lot darker than the way the movie ends. Because Seymour dies in that one.
Yep.
Spoiler, sorry. So I think that's available on the DVD though, like on the Blu-ray, the original ending. I'm not sure. But it's just it's ridiculous. It's fun. They made a cartoon out of that movie, which
They
still
did?
they did.
They were so
Yeah.
weird in the
They were
the
so
early
weird
'90s,
this was
late
a night in the
'80s.
90s. Yeah, this was a
Like
90s
what
cartoon.
they
I
would make
remember it vividly. This
cartoon.
is why I remember it vividly because it used to give before the Beetlejuice
Yes,
cartoon.
I was just gonna say that. That's so funny. They had the most random things. Well,
They
if
even
people
had a
want,
Rambo cartoon.
if you like Little Shop of Horrors, which I also really enjoy it, but
Yeah.
if you like it, you should check out there's this movie last year called I Want You Back with Jenny Slate. And
Uh-huh.
through various conferences, they end up volunteering for this I think it's middle school production of Little Shop of Horrors. And she sings Suddenly Seymour, uh, and she does the whole song. It's like
Yeah.
totally random, like her singing, but it's really she's so good.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So you should.
So
I mean, it's a cute movie in general, but
yeah.
but
And I think it's like I think people remember it, and I know it's beloved to
mhm.
some, but I think
Yeah.
it's a little forgotten.
And if
Maybe.
you're a big fan of the Disney Renaissance, it's definitely worth watching because of it's the first Menken Ashman collaboration.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So good choice. All right, my number 9 is another one that I was like, is it a musical? But it is the Muppet movie. It had to be
Oh,
my number 9. I'm a huge Muppet fan. I do Muppet May over in on my other channel.
that's a great movie.
And I think that the Rainbow Connection is right up there with Somewhere Over the Rainbow as one of the greatest songs ever written for film.
Absolutely. It's so
It
much fun.
is absolutely beautiful. I love that song.
There's a gag in that movie that people are like, oh, why do you find it so funny? But I laugh hysterically. The fork in the road when Fozzie and Kermit are in the car driving. Oh, look, there's a fork in the road. And that gets me every time.
Yeah.
I lose myself. Silly.
It's really funny.
It's so funny.
Very, very funny.
I saw this movie at a theater. My local independent theater was, playing all these movies at a time, and I went to go see it. And I didn't know what the crowd was going to be. The theater was full. Everybody in different age, everybody of all ages, older, my age, probably who
I'd
grew up with
love to
it,
see
parents
that.
who made their kids grow, little kids, teenagers, and the teenagers were singing along.
Mm-hmm.
And it was surprising because that movie does have a lot of like references to the era that it was made,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
everybody who was famous then too
Yeah.
pops up. But like, I was so happy to see that the Muppets, they still get that
Yeah.
love from all generations.
That's great. I would love to see that on the big screen.
Oh, it was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And so many good
bicycle?
songs. Moving right along in terms of good things.
I lost it though.
Yeah.
Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog riding that bicycle. There's just so many great moments in that movie.
Yeah. It's really fun. So
it's amazing.
That
it's awesome.
That had to be my number 9. What about you?
All right. I wasn't gonna add this one, but I was like, I don't care. My number 9 is Mamma Mia.
Right?
Right?
Yes.
So what about Pierce Brosnan singing? I don't even care. I love ABBA. It's such a
Yeah.
fun movie. I mean, it's beautiful. They're in Greece. They're living their best life. So she doesn't know who her dad is.
Yeah.
Look, they're singing
I
and dancing to ABBA. Thank you.
Yes. I
Yeah.
will defend this movie till the day I die. I
Yeah.
really do enjoy it.
Love
I might like the sequel like a little bit more,
it.
but
Yeah.
but I really do love them both. And this is my go-to if I'm
Oh,
on a
yeah.
plane. This is
Oh,
my
yeah.
go-to plane movie. It's
What?
because you don't want to when you're on the plane, you don't want to watch anything that's stressful or that's
Totally.
tense or
Totally.
emotional. You don't want to, you just want something like light and
Yeah.
frothy and fun. Perfect, Mamma Mia. It's a
Totally.
perfect choice.
And I love ABBA. Lay all your love on me. I just love that rendition that they do on the movie. Like I had that soundtrack. I would play it like at one time my sister was like, I love this, but stop. Like, can we lay off the soundtrack for a little bit? Because when this came out, man, I was all over the soundtrack. It was just, I love it so much. And like my sister and I were like, people were like, oh, why is Pierce Brosnan singing? My sister and I got like crazy. We were like, who cares? It's Pierce Brosnan. He can sing if he wants to. Like, we just like lost it in the back.
And I love Christine Baranski.
Oh, yeah.
Does your mother know? Oh,
yeah.
so
you know, so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's fun. Meryl Streep doing splits in the air. I mean, come on, lady. I can't do splits in the air.
Well, my number 8 is one that gets a lot of flack, and I admit is flawed, but I have huge nostalgia and I love it. It is the animated film Anastasia.
Oh,
I
yeah,
absolutely love this movie. It is such a good romance between Dimitri and Anya and her whole story. And I understand that that we're dealing with some real historical people, so it's a little dicey. I get that. But in my opinion, the Broadway musical, I don't really love what they did with it because they took out all the fun. They made it very serious.
Like the movie version.
Like the original, with but it has so many great songs and so many great musical sequences. And like I said, I love the lead couple.
I did not know this cartoon was getting flack. No,
a lot of people. People like put it in with Pocahontas because they're both like based on historical things. But
I get okay,
but to me at least, like,
well, it's been proven too that it's historical fiction. Yeah, they were real people, but it's historical fiction.
I mean, and it's so over the top to me that like, I mean, obviously Rasputin wasn't some like demon guy. Like,
I don't know about that.
I mean, I think he was he wasn't he was a complex historical character, but he wasn't literally like living in the demon world. Like,
no, but like Rasputin I don't know.
In the movie had something with like there's all these like spirits and
when he's got this. You know, do you know how hard they had to try to murder him? I mean, he ate all that poison and he was alive, walking about, and they're like, "How? I don't know." Rasputin, crazy figure.
But even his song Dark Night, which it is obviously a very copy of Be Prepared. I understand that, but I still really love it. I think it's a banger. And I love the animation. The whole sequence on the train is incredible. And it's in that whole era of all the studios were trying to be the Disney Renaissance. We're trying to copy the Disney Renaissance. And in my opinion, this excels above a lot of those Disney Renaissance films. I would put it certainly above, of course, above Pocahontas, but I would put it above, I mean, and I love Hercules, but I would put it above Hercules.
Yeah. Once Upon a December is a great song.
Oh, great song.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's my number 8.
It's a good pick.
I love it. What about you?
Speaking about historical fiction, sort of, I picked Evita.
Oh, okay.
There's just something about this movie. It's almost entirely just sung. I think there's like 3 or 4 actual words of dialogue in the movie. I think Madonna's at her peak vocally, and she worked her, you know, little behind off to be good in this movie, to just give the best performance she could. Antonio Banderas as the narrator is good. Jonathan Pryce is you know, I don't know. There's something about this movie. I like the music. I mean, it's Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice So there's, it has that big feel to it. And I do love some of the songs, like On This Night of 1,000 Stars. I'm going to stop because I'm going to start singing it. Buenos Aires, another suitcase in another hall. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't know. There's something about this musical that I really
Some good ones
enjoy.
from Lloyd
Yeah.
Webber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mother and my sister, my brother-in-law all saw this performed. On a traveling performance. I didn't, because it's so funny. I had to bully my mother to go into it because I missed it on stage because I ended up getting really sick. And I had to go to the emergency room.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
had this bad infection. And
Oh,
so I
no.
remember because it was Christmas. And this is when I started watching Hallmark Christmas movies when I got sick. And my mother was like, I'm sitting with you. And I was like, Mom, go get ready. You're going to miss Evita because we had all the tickets.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going. And I was like, woman, do not be foolish. I was like, I can't leave you alone. Rachel, I was a grown adult. Okay. I was like 21. I was 21 years old. And so I kicked my mother out. My mother came out and said she
Yeah.
loved the stage performance, said she thought it was better than the film.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I went to go see this. So funny. Like, this is the thing with Evita. When I went to go see this in the movie theater, I had asthmatic bronchitis and I couldn't breathe. And so we had to take the escalator and we walked very slow for me to get into it, to the theater with my mother. And then it was the scene in the shower with the men. And my mother's like, that's a little too see-through for my girl. And she's like, huffing and puffing. And we're like, oh no, we're going to get in trouble.
Yeah. How did they get PG-13 for that movie?
I don't know, because when that scene popped up, I just sunk a little in my chair. And I couldn't breathe correctly. I don't know why I made myself go. I just had to get out of the house. I couldn't even breathe correctly. I was on all this medication. So here's something with Evita with me. It's my sick movie. And I just held it down, and I didn't even look my mother in the eye because I could hear her,
Yeah. I've seen the stage version one time, and I was a little bit like, I didn't love all the, like, we know the iconic songs, but then the rest of the songs I was like, but it still was, I'm glad I saw it the one time. And yeah, she definitely tries her hardest, so you got to give her some credit there. Well, my number 7 is Willy Wonka.
Okay, yeah.
So we already talked about that, but I love it. I love the songs, the pure imagination.
This is a role that Gene Hackman was perfect for.
Mm-hmm. It's
so mean to, like, at the end.
Mm-hmm. I've got a golden ticket.
It's funny because my nephew, they watched the movie in school like this past year, and he came out of the car, and when we picked him up at school, he was in the car. He goes, "Hey, TT, Mom, have you ever seen Willy Wonka?" And we were like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, because we just saw the movie today," and he really enjoyed it. And he was like, "Oh, that's good." And he's like, "Yeah, but that was messed up what he did to all them kids, right?" It's like, I mean, sure, they were okay at the end, but like, that kid turned purple. I was like, well, my sister's like, they didn't follow directions. And he's like, it's still messed up.
Come with me and you'll see a world of imagination. Yeah, I love it. The Candyman can. The Candyman can.
I mean, but
Candyman
that kid had terrible
because he mixes it with love and makes the world.
He did have terrible grandparents. What are they, sitting in bed for all their lives over there? In a joint bed.
Yeah.
All right, I know you're poor, but
there's a lot if you start asking questions, things that like unravel.
Oh, I know, you're like, where did the parents sleep? They had to give up their one bed for the grandparents who never got out of bed.
Well, then as soon as he gets a golden ticket, all of a sudden Grandpa Joe is fine.
Oh yeah, he's like, "Woo,
dancing."
I'm spry." Hey, but he lucked out. Kid lucked out.
Welcome to the Pilot Podcast. My name is BJ.
And my name is Me Too, and we promise this promo is worth it, so please don't skip ahead.
We're two judgy friends who put our judgmental skills to work for you. We review the pilot episodes of new and popular shows, and shows that our listeners request to answer your question, should I watch this?
Look, a lot of us are spending a lot more time at home, and yes, we should be reading and trying new projects and enriching ourselves, but does anything beat binging a great show?
Let us take the guesswork out of deciding what your next show will be. Tune in to The Pilot Podcast at thepilotpodcast.com.
Number 7.
My number 7 is a John Waters film, and it is 1990's Cry Baby,
Mm-hmm.
which is a spoof on 1950s teen movies. It is utterly ridiculous. I mean,
After
it's
the success of Hairspray, I think they made that into a Broadway musical. That it wasn't as
they might have,
successful.
because
I feel like I remember that.
Johnny Depp's got like a little tear tattoo. That's why they call him Cry Baby.
Uh-huh.
It's like at the big end, it's the
Yeah.
rich snobs who are like portrayed as the good people
Yeah.
against the
I've never
poor.
seen it.
Oh, you've never seen it?
No.
It's like Johnny Depp and Ricky Lake are like mother and sister. And they are like from the wrong side of the tracks, and the bad boy, and then they have the rich good people, and like they, even when they smile, their smile blinks. It's like so exaggerated, making fun of it. But Ricky Lake is always pregnant in the movie as the stereotypical pregnant teenager. She's got a bunch of kids. And I remember my mom loved this movie too. And she's like, when did she start having all them kids? So pregnant in the movie. It's ridiculous. It's really making fun of like those, it's a teen movie, it's a teen movie done by a bunch of 20 and 30-year-olds playing teens, but that's all part of the gag. It's ridiculous. It's John Waters. What do you expect? I mean that in a good way. It's so much fun.
Well, my number 6 is a classic. It's Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah.
Had to include that. I love the story. I think it's one of those musicals that I think even if you don't like musicals, a lot of people do enjoy it because the music feels very authentic to the characters. Like it reminds me of Tevye reminds me a lot of my grandfather, who would always be kind of humming a little ditty, under his breath. He would always be sort of singing, and so I feel like even his singing feels authentic to like what someone would sing in those moments. And then a lot of the other songs are sort of prayers or part of tradition, and so I think it's very approachable for a musical. It is a little too long. They could have cut a few things out, but it's beautifully made, good performances. I think who can't relate to both Tevye and to his girls, bucking tradition, but also valuing that tradition. I think it's something we all experience in one way or another. And so great songs, some of the best ever written, obviously. Matchmaker, If I Were a Rich Man, of course, Sabbath, Prayer. The only song I could think they could cut is Miracle of Miracles. They could cut that one out.
This movie is on my list, but it's in a higher position.
Okay, good.
I do love this movie so much, and it has
so
it has a sad but hopeful ending.
Yeah,
because it's a family separating, and they have to leave because that period of time, the Jews in Russia, they had to leave their homeland, so they could live, And so it's kind of sad because the family is parting, but then it ends on a hopeful note, and the mom is still matchmaking even when they're going to America. For her younger daughters. She's gonna get one of these matches, So it's great.
It's wonderful. So that's my number 6. What do you have at 6?
Grease.
Oh, okay. Grease didn't make my list, but I do appreciate, especially a lot more in the last couple of years. I've grown to appreciate it more than I did when I was younger. I was, especially the ending, I really disliked when I was in my
I get it.
20s, but I've grown to sort of appreciate the whole thing a lot more.
I think too, the soundtrack is just so iconic and so good. Like you can
catchy.
Just listen to the soundtrack. You don't gotta watch the movie. You can listen to it.
Yeah.
And I almost put Grease 2 on this list, but I was like, let's not go too far.
Did you watch the Pink Ladies? Rise of the Pink Ladies?
I didn't. I was like, I will get to it. Because I didn't have Paramount Plus, and I thought I'll get like the couple of days the free subscription, but they removed it before I ever got to it.
I'm so sad. It is, you can rent it.
You can buy it now. I believe
and
you can
I enjoyed
rent
it. We did a recap of it if people are interested. It was
musical, right?
Yeah, it was musical, and some good singing, it was good. But yeah, I mean, so many great bops in the original Grease.
Totally.
Yeah. All right. My number 5 is another one of my animated selections, and it's The Prince of Egypt.
Oh, that's a great pick.
This would be one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah,
I
so
absolutely love how they do the Tree of Life scene. It's like
Yeah.
basically how if I picture what do I think God is like, it's
Right.
how I think of him being
Right. Yeah,
like so calming and so peaceful.
totally.
And I love the way they did it with the two brothers in the story, and the absolutely beautiful animation. It's gorgeous. I love I love the music. I mean, the song with the priest is probably the only weak spot, but it
Mhm.
and they also, like, it does have a bloated celebrity cast, like you don't need
Oh,
like all these
totally. You
famous
don't. You don't
voices.
need all that, but it's
But
fun.
that's a DreamWorks thing.
Yeah.
But I just absolutely love it.
Underappreciated, I think.
I think it is a true animated masterpiece.
And when it came out, I mean, the soundtrack was so popular. They had 3 different versions. They had a
Yeah.
country version.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had a pop version.
Yeah.
I think an R&B. I'm not sure, something like that.
Yeah. No, I remember that
Yeah,
they
and it
had.
was like it's a wonderful film. I think it's underappreciated. It didn't
Yeah.
make my list, but it's a wonderful pick. It's a great
Yeah.
movie, and I think people should watch it. I mean, like if you're wanting to like get your kids into some biblical films or
Mhm.
like religious films, like this is one of them to watch.
It is
Yeah.
so well done, and
I mean, you
and
can watch that. You can enjoy this movie without any religious
yeah,
affiliates or anything like that.
like just as a
But
story of two
it's just
brothers.
as a story as 2 brothers and a family. It's still good.
Mhm. Yeah. What do you have at 5?
The Lion King.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I had so many animated films.
yeah,
I couldn't put that down there, but I do, of course,
yeah.
it's one of
I
my
mean,
favorite
it's
Disney
just
films.
I still vividly remember going to the theater and seeing The Lion King and the songs. I mean, they live on.
Oh.
It's so wonderful. I can't wait to be king. Hakuna Matata.
The only
Oh,
thing I don't like about the songs is I don't like that they kind of make Can You Feel the Love Tonight silly. I don't like when they're like, I can see what's happening. They don't have a clue. I don't like that.
yeah. Well, that's a
It's such
Disney
a
trait,
pretty
I think.
song.
I know, but if you can just listen to Elton John doesn't sing that verse in his version, so you can listen to that. He don't have it in
Yeah.
there.
Our
But I
trio's
love,
down to 2.
I know, I love Jeremy Irons as Scar. Like
Yeah,
he's one of the
unbelievable.
best villains in that
Yeah.
movie.
Psychopath.
Psycho, like, and I don't even hate the sequels, the straight to video sequels
Yeah,
they
they're not
made.
they in the world of the cheap calls, they're definitely in the higher ranking.
Yeah,
If we
and
ever did
I
a
can't.
Disney cheap calls, which I would never do that to you.
I can't remember the name of it, but when the kids were little, it gave on Disney Junior. It was sort of
Oh,
a
the
sequel
Line Guard.
cartoon. Yeah, I didn't even mind that one. I thought that was even
Yeah,
fun with the
yeah,
kids.
yeah.
And I thought, wow, it's
Uh-huh.
like, so this is a good property.
And
Like,
the Broadway adaptation.
oh
Excellent.
yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
great. The only
Mm-hmm.
thing that is not good in the Lion King universe and all their sequels and all that is the live action movie.
Oh, yeah, agreed.
Oh boy, we're getting a
What a
sequel
terrible
because we
movie.
needed that. Yeah. Oh boy.
A prequel.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
about
Yeah, because
Mufasa.
we definitely needed that.
Why?
I mean, it's so
Yeah,
lifeless. It is so
terrible.
lifeless,
It
and
is absolutely true. I agree. Well, my number 4 is from the Disney Renaissance, and it is The Little Mermaid. It's the first movie that I ever truly loved. It came out when I was 8, and I saw it at the Villa Theater here in Utah. It's now they sell rugs there, which makes me very sad. But
really.
they had a balcony. It was extra big screen, so it was special when you went
Wow.
to the Villa. And Disney. A lot of people forget that Disney had been on a pretty rough track through the
Rough
80s,
truck. This
70s, and
movie brought them
80s.
back in. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean they'd had a little bit of a bump with the Great Mouse Detective, and but the Black Cauldron was is one of the biggest bombs in the history of
Right.
movies of all time, and
Shame, but
and so they had this experiment of the Little Mermaid with Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, coming in and making it a true musical
True. Mhm.
as opposed to like Oliver and Company, which had songs but wasn't like a musical. Um, and it was the Jodie Benson. She talks about the voice of Ariel. She talks about how they were like boxing up. I mean, this was going to
Yeah.
be the end of the animation division. This was their Hail Mary.
Totally.
And
It saved
they,
their animation department.
yeah, and it of course was a huge phenomenon. I mean, I
Yeah.
couldn't even tell you how many times I've seen this movie.
I know.
And
Same
I
with me. This is my
absolutely,
number 3. This is
oh
my-
yay, I absolutely love it. And I love Ariel as a character.
yeah,
I
it's
always
great.
did.
It's
So many
great.
great songs, and Under the Sea and Kiss the Girl, and of course Part of Your World. And the fact that they animated a million bubbles
Oh my gosh, it's
every
perfect.
time she moves, the water
It's so perfect.
moves.
Her hair in like
Mhm.
in the water, and when she gets out of
Unbelievable.
like that whole entire scene is amazing.
Mhm. Like if you
When I
watch and you just see,
yeah.
not just her, obviously, any character moves, there's bubbles, which
Yeah.
just gives it such an immersive quality.
When this movie came out, the only other movie that I loved as much as The Little Mermaid at that point in my life was Troop Beverly Hills.
Oh, really?
So those were the 2 movies that I loved so much. 9, 10-year-old me, I loved that. And my aunt actually, when we went to go visit my aunt in Canada, she bought me the VHS, and that was the first time I had seen that movie.
Yeah,
Because she
the
bought it for
next
me.
year it would be Home Alone would be the next most influential movie in my
Oh,
life.
totally, yeah.
I saw that in it was the Christmas 1990, and that was the first comedy I ever really connected with, and I just loved both those films. But yeah, it's just a special movie for me.
It is. It's a beautiful film. It's greatly
Mhm,
shot.
yeah.
The music is like you can go anywhere and sing those songs and they know.
Mhm,
And
yeah.
you know.
So what's your number 4?
My number 4, I had to pick a Muppet movie, and I was
Yay.
debating which one I was gonna pick,
Mhm.
and then I went for The Muppet Christmas Carol
Oh, I love that one too.
because I just love this movie. I remember my sister bought me the VHS for Christmas. We're going real old VHS stuff.
Yeah.
For the youngins, that was a tape you put in a machine. Anyway,
Yeah.
I just loved it. I think Michael Caine is hysterical
So
in it,
good.
and he's just like so good in it.
The last D23 they had, because it was the anniversary
Yeah.
of the movie. They had a whole special panel at D23 where they had the composer, the director, and then they had the Muppets there, and then of course the Muppet
Great.
performers separate. And so we got to see both, and it was
And
a
they've
delight.
reinstated a deleted song now, right? Into the
Yes.
yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
and
great.
they had at D23 they had Jodie Benson come out and sing it.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. The Love
That
Is
was great
Gone.
because I know that was on that was on the soundtrack and never in the
Mhm.
movie. But it's
Yeah.
just I
And
think
it was weird because they had it on the DVD. You could watch it,
yeah, but it was never it
but
was
it
weird.
was always the what do they call it? Um the full screen, not the widescreen. It was bizarre. But now on Disney Plus, it's the widescreen,
Yeah.
great full version, which is good.
And this movie came at a critical time for the Muppets because Jim
Yeah.
Henson had passed away.
Yep.
And his son directed this movie and carried on like there was a real question like
Mhm.
can the Muppets continue?
Yeah.
And they did.
Mhm.
So,
And
but it's so much fun.
I really like the Muppets when they're telling stories. I mean, because I love Muppet
Yes.
Treasure Island too. I think that's really
Exactly
fun.
for that reason, yeah.
Yeah. It's a good
So
pick.
and Rizzo, narrating the story of the over there.
Yeah.
I've got like 100. What did he say?
And
He had
and they have
1,000
a
brothers and
lot
sisters?
of Christmas Carol in there.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
a
It
lot
is
of the actual text Gonzo
exactly,
says.
which is another reason why I love it because it
Mhm.
is kind of faithful to
Yeah.
the book. And I also love that Miss Piggy and Kermit are married in the movie, and the
Yeah.
daughters are pigs, and Tiny
I
Tim
love
is a
that too.
frog, and you're like, I don't know how this works, but they're Muppets, so just go with it.
Yeah, I love that too. And Statler and Oliver play that they're Marley and Marley.
And I even love, like, I love all things Christmas Carol. I'm a sucker for
Yeah, me
that.
too.
And I think this is the better adaptations. They have fun with it.
Yeah.
But I even like the musical, the Christmas Carol. The one that Kelsey Grammer did for
Oh
Hallmark
yeah,
too.
I like that too.
I like that one too. It
I
gets
like
no
that one too,
respect.
and I like the Albert Finney.
Exactly. I even like the
Thank
musical
you
version of
very
that. So like
much.
you can't go wrong from you very rarely can you go wrong with the Christmas Carol, but
Agreed.
this is just
I've
such
even
a
been
fun
known to
moment.
defend the Jim Carrey one, which most everyone else hates. We'll have to do it. We'll definitely have to do a
That
Christmas
one
Carol
shook me
ranking.
because I had to tell when that came out, I had to tell my goddaughter, I was like, that's based on a book. They went, oh yeah, when was that book written? And I was like, we're gonna take a minute here.
Because it's very accurate to the book. The Jim Carrey one,
Yeah,
it includes stuff that no other version includes.
Rachel, I fainted inside. I had to take a moment. I had to tell her who Charles Dickens was. The book was written, and these are young kids. They discover that later on. But I was like, I need to put a little culture in here, getting big in my boots, trying to get culture. They could care less that it was a book. They were like, who cares? I'm
Well,
never
that was
going to
what's
read
so
it.
great about Wishbone. Did you ever
Yeah.
watch Wishbone? It
Yes,
introduced kids to all these like really
exactly.
serious
We
books.
don't have that anymore.
It was the
We don't
best.
have stuff like that anymore. But I died inside. I've never recovered since then,
Yeah, I would
but
too.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store. Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
Well, my number 3 is maybe one that's more obscure. I don't know, but it is Sing Street. Is my number 3. I absolutely love this movie. It's a simple story by director John Carney, who always makes his movies are always about music in some form, and it's about this guy, this high school teenager. It's about this teenager named Connor who wants to impress this girl, beautiful girl, and so he makes up a story that he has a band. And will she come and be in the music video for his band because she's like a model. And so then he has to get his friends together and start a band. And he's going to this new school, and his brother always wanted to start a band but never really had the guts to do it. And I absolutely love their brother relationship. Jack Rayner plays the brother, and Ferdia Walsh Pilo plays Connor. If people have seen Coda, the Oscar winner, he's in that. But the songs are so catchy. I absolutely love them. And part of the reason why I didn't love La La Land as much as other people, I didn't hate it. I'm not in the hate group, but it came out the same year as Sing Street, and
it got all the glory.
It got all the glory, and I think Sing Street is just better in every way. But it's just such great songs. Drive It Like You Stole It, and
exactly, yeah,
and it, unfortunately, it was one of the last movies that was produced by Harvey Weinstein, and so it got kind of
it's
that's
lost
another
in the
reason
shuffle
why
of that as well.
yeah, it got kind of lost in the shuffle of that. He's not like involved in it.
I know
it's
not the movie's
it has
fault,
nothing to do with it, but it just didn't get the publicity and the rollout and the other stuff that it it would have gotten. Certainly in like peak Miramax days, it probably would have won Best Picture back in the day. But nevertheless, it's a really, really wonderful story. It makes you cheer at the end. Love winning, and they have lovely chemistry. And like I said, the relationship between the two brothers is so good.
Yeah.
It's just one of my all-time favorite movies. I absolutely love it. And John Carney is just one of my favorite directors working today. He has a new movie coming out. called it's like Ivy and Flo and Ivy, something like that. Anyway, I saw it at Sundance. It was fun. And but this is special, and it's, if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's on Netflix. It's really good.
Yep.
Yeah. So what do you have? You had Little Mermaid
My
at
number
3,
three
right?
was The Little Mermaid, yeah.
Okay. So what do you have at 2?
Beauty and the Beast.
Tale as old as time.
This is my sister's favorite animated movie.
Yeah.
We watched it like countless times when we were, you know. My sister was a full-grown teenager. She didn't care. We watched it countless times. It's her favorite. Like, it has great songs. Gaston, Be Our Guest. Is a little problematic. Well, the story is a little problematic when you go back to the original, you know, fairy tale, because he locks her up. But it's whimsical.
But she can always leave. That's the key that makes it not Stockholm. She leaves from the very beginning. It's just that she made a vow that she was going to stay. But she can leave, and she does successfully leave.
I do think a lot of people sort of say that's a problem, but I don't think it is a problem, because she does have the ability to leave, but she's like, I made a promise, and you know, she does leave to, you know, for her father and stuff, but
because she says, promise or not, I can't stay another moment. And so that's why she has full agency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
First animated movie to ever get nominated for Best Picture. After the, you know, it was like, it was a Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. It was a 3-2 punch that put Disney back in, Disney animation back on top. And it's
like, and I just love the fact that I think it's very sad, but I think it's beautiful and touching that Howard Ashman literally wrote it on his deathbed, and that he would write something about that beauty is found within, and something that's just so pure and so lovely, that to me that adds like a layer.
Totally.
That when that tribute to Howard at the end, Howard Ashman at the end, it always makes me tear up. And
that the opening, you know, the prologue of the movie, the opening, you know,
it's a masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece. It's like, this is an incredible movie, and it holds up.
I mean, that word is thrown around a lot, but
for this movie,
it's funny, it's touching, it's romantic, it
has everything.
Yeah.
It has everything. And you can, you know, be honest, when he turns into a human, I'm kind of like, you know, like,
see, that's the problem.
Yes, I know, right? Like, hold on a minute, am I supporting this woman with this beast creature? And I'm like, you know, it's a cartoon, you can let it fly. It's magical, right?
Yeah.
You know,
well,
it's a great voice performance as well from everybody.
Oh yeah, Paige O'Hara, legendary, so good. Robbie Benson. Whenever I see him in other roles, I'm always just, he was in a Hallmark movie a couple of years ago, and whenever I see him, I'm always just like, go ahead and starve.
I think the only thing the live action movie did right was Gaston.
Yeah, except for it was right, but it was also confusing, because they made him like kind of likable, and you're just like, what? Why would you do that?
I think that's just Luke Evans. I think that was just Luke Evans. He's always likable, but
because he's like the only one who's helping Maurice. Like, he goes and he actually helps Maurice, and yet Maurice is like, I wouldn't want you to have anything to do with my daughter. I'm like, why? That makes no sense. Why would you say that when he's literally the only one in the whole town who's helping you?
Oh boy.
So
did you watch the live version?
He was charming. I will agree.
Yeah. Did you watch the live version that ABC did?
Yes, I actually. Do you mean the one with Josh Groban?
Yeah, that was wild.
I
wasn't
enjoyed
it?
That.
It was interesting. Like, when he came out in that costume, I was like, this is wild. Wild.
Yeah, but at least they didn't try to change it. I mean, they did have the one song from the musical, because you're gonna have Josh Groban, you have to have the Beast sing, so of course. But I quite enjoyed that, actually. I thought that was, and it was neat that they highlighted the animators, because usually you don't see that, but they actually had the animators on stage,
so it was nice.
And I appreciated that. Anyway, well, my number 2 is another movie that got me through the pandemic. It is Tick, Tick, Boom.
Yeah.
I still don't know if I've seen a movie that I loved more than Tick Tick Boom since it came out. That's how much I loved it. I absolutely loved everything about I absolutely loved everything about Andrew Garfield's performance in it. I certainly would have given him the Oscar. And I think, and I'm not even like that huge of a Rent person. I enjoy Rent. It's fine. But like this to me was just such a beautiful movie about the journey of a creator. And as somebody who tries to create things in my life, is trying to make something that people like, it can be really hard and frustrating. You keep trying to put yourself out there, and then people sometimes like it and people sometimes don't like it. And just that journey that Jonathan goes on, and the ending, that he dies just before his big break. It's just adds this whole level to the whole tragedy to it in real life of it all. And just so many great songs and so many great sequences, especially for Broadway fans. There were tons of cameos, and I just absolutely love it. I think it would be up there in my favorite movies of all time.
I have not seen this one. And I didn't have time to watch it before we made this list and recorded it. But I was like, I know Rachel's going to have this one up, so we're all right.
Yeah. Well, you should definitely see it. And I'm amazed you got through the pandemic and you didn't watch Hamilton or Tick Tick Boom.
Crazy.
Because there was
like those
that
Dr.
was like
Quinn episodes weren't going to watch themselves again.
Both
but Rachel,
of
those Dr. Quinn. Yeah.
What's that?
But like I had to watch repeats of Dr. Quinn and Touched by an Angel. Those repeats weren't going to watch themselves, That's what I did during the pandemic.
Yeah. I did watch The Nanny a lot.
I watched stuff I already watched 100 times.
Well, so you had Beauty and the Beast at 2. So what's your number 1?
Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah.
The Sound of Music and Fiddler on the Roof are 2 of my favorite all-time musicals. There's just something I love about this movie, something that touches me greatly about it. And I love the family connection. I love the religious aspect of it. And even though it's a sad ending, but yet a hopeful ending. And I just love all the characters. And it's a great ensemble. And they, it's just, I can't complain about it. It's perfect to me. To me, it's perfect.
Would it spoil some vast eternal plan if I were a wealthy man?
And the way he has to tell his wife about that. The dream, he has to tell his wife because the daughter wants to marry the guy and not who she matchmaking. He's got to tell he saw this in a dream. Like, no. Like he did a lot for his girls. He was a good dad.
Yeah.
He complained about it, but he was a good dad.
Well, my number 1 had to be Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
It's a masterpiece. We've already said
fantastic.
And Tale as Old as Time is just
it's
such
one of
a special moment. Be Our Guest is perfect.
It starts off with a bang, with this provincial town, and the beautiful prologue, even the animation style of that. It's wonderful. It has to be, if you're going to just look at Disney's animated films, it's on top with Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast, and even The Little Mermaid to an extent. But those are like the high tier, of like Disney animation.
Really special.
Yeah.
Well, I asked the patrons, and we got some answers. First, Becky, she said Rent, Sweeney Todd, Assassins, Hamilton, and Les Mis, but she thought I was talking about stage musicals.
Yeah.
So then I said movie musicals, and she said, and those are all brilliant. So I understand. So then she said Hairspray, Tick Tick Boom, The Commitments, Sing Street, Once, and Frozen.
The Commitments is also kind of like a concert movie. So I again debated on that one. I almost put Sweeney Todd with Johnny Depp on there.
I do like that. I like it.
I do like that, but I changed my mind. I was like, unlike Pierce Brosnan, I can't forgive Helen Bohan Carter for her singing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it's harder to forgive in
That's the
it.
only,
Like you don't
yeah.
really care that much about the singing in Mamma Mia. Like you do
No, you
care
don't. You're
in
there for
a
ABBA. You're
yeah,
for
you
there
do
for
care in
Grease.
Sondheim. Like you
Yeah,
expect that to have good singing.
right.
Um,
Like I loved Alan Rickman though in that one.
yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Once is also John Carney. So if people like Sing Street, you should check out Once.
Oh
It's
yeah,
also
totally.
really
Oh,
good.
that has a great Oscar-winning song to it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Falling Softly.
Yeah, it's a great
And
song.
then we have Some Saying in the Heights, which I was shocked it didn't do better. I thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed it.
I haven't seen that one
Yeah,
actually. I
it's
never got
very
around
good.
to it.
Part of the problem why I didn't do well.
I think so.
Just
I
kidding.
know it came
Uh,
out just with like it went. I can't remember. It came out during the pandemic, straight to
yeah.
streaming, or did it have a
No, it had a release,
it
but
had a
it
release, yeah.
just it didn't.
Same thing with West
It
Side
was
Story, which
pretty
had a
long.
release too.
But I really enjoyed it. Some others, Glitter and Gloom says Matilda the musical, Sweeney Todd, Into the Woods, the last 5 years, which I would say the last 5 years is definitely underrated with Anna Kendrick and Jeremy Jordan. I really enjoy that. And then we have Cinderella in 1997 and Hairspray. And someone says Hudson Hawk.
Oh, oh, that was cheating a little bit, but Bruce Willis does sing in that one. So.
Yeah,
Hudson Hawk, a notorious bomb
yeah.
that I think needs to be reevaluated because it is bonkers and it's written by the people who wrote like Moonlighting, the TV show. So it's
so if
it's
you
not great,
want,
but it's fun.
yeah. So if you want to participate in our weekly rankings, then make sure you join the Patreon. It's a lot of fun. And we'll post every time we do one of these, we'll post in the Patreon group for looking for your lists and your feedback. And so check that out, the Patreon. And this was a lot of fun. I mean, a happy day for me when I get to talk about musicals all day.
Totally.
So let us know what you think in the comments section or on Twitter. And Terry, where can people find you?
At Twitter, at Flurry Heaven.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure that you're following the podcast, all of our social media at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us out. 5 stars helps people to find the podcast. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Most of our viewers on YouTube are not subscribers. And so if you're one of those people, please subscribe. It really helps the algorithm a lot. And then we also, like I said, have the Patreon group where you get lots of fun benefits. And so check that out. And then we have the merch store with lots of fun designs. So please take a look at that. And thanks so much, everybody. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.